Willamette University that serves students by providing additional support outside of school through mentoring, tutoring, monthly Saturday classes, and a summer camp. These students served are from Salem Kaiser School District, grades 8 through 12, from populations that are historically underrepresented in higher education. Our guest speaker today is Emilio Solano, director of the Willamette Academy. Emilio graduated from Willamette University with a BA in History and American Ethnic Studies. He went on to earn a master's degree in urban education from Loyola Marymount University. Emilio and his team cultivate in their students a love of learning and build confidence that hopefully lead them to a four-year college and a brighter future. Please welcome Emilio Solano.
Oh, yep, we're working. Awesome. It's great to be here in front of all of you. I think the last time we did this was in April or May of 2017, and I was maybe 5 months into my role and still very much trying to figure out what the heck we were doing. At that point, too, we had brought in 2 classes, so we had just gotten done with about 90 student interviews during that time over like a 4-week stretch. So I was pretty close to brain dead. So I'm hoping that I have a lot more energy this time, and I'm hoping that I'm a little clearer with our plan and our vision forward than I was. But excited to have you all here and excited to have this opportunity to chat with you all. And I see some familiar faces because I know some of you are supporters of the program, and I appreciate that. And excited to let you know how we've been doing over the last 2.5 years. So, some of you may have seen this report come out. It was in the Oregonian, it was in the Statesman. This was last week about Oregon elementary and middle school test scores. And as a former middle school teacher, I'll be the first to tell you that test scores don't tell the whole picture. In fact, that we are hyper-reliant on test scores. But regardless of how you feel about test scores, it is somewhat alarming, some of the data that came out. Essentially, we didn't improve. And we haven't improved. And each year, test scores dip, and they dip, and they dip, and they dip. And this is particularly apparent for our Latino, our Native, and our Black communities in Oregon. You can see some of the data here in reading and writing. Low income overall dipped by a point. Latino stayed the same. Native American dipped by 2 points. Black, 30% proficient. In math, the numbers are even worse, which is also not a surprise given our current context for academics. But low income at 28%, Latino at 24%, Native American dipped to 23%, and Black 17%. And so when we compare those to their Asian and white counterparts, who in some cases are outperforming our students twice, they're doing twice as well on these tests. And that's alarming. And so this just gives me even more motivation for the work that we do. In trying to make sure that as we get students the summer before their 8th grade year, we're giving them the types of support, not just for test scores, but to make sure that these numbers don't determine their futures. So some of our data and some district data to kind of help set the tone and the environment of what we're walking into. The 4-year high school completion rate for the state is 78.7% currently. The district is 76.5%, and as you can see below there, it's even lower for the communities that our program serves. And then again, particularly for the Black African American population, 51%, and our American Indian, Alaska Native, 61%. Those numbers are lower across the board. Willamette Academy, we just ran the numbers for our completion rate of high school in our entire history. Since our first class, graduating class of 2007, any student who has ever been enrolled in our program, whether they finished the program or not, has a 95% high school graduation rate. Thank you. And so, given our context, and the students we've had those opportunities with, that's over 700 students that we're counting in those statistics. And to set the context again, these numbers, these 78%, in 2017, Oregon ranked 49th out of 50 states in high school graduation rate. So we're up against some things, especially as we get our students as 8th graders. Middle school success is not predictive of high school success. So we can't predict the challenges that our students are going to be having once they get to high school and they have increased responsibilities. Our attendance rate is right in line with the district. In the state's 79.5%. The district 77, and we are at 80%. What that means is 80% of our students miss no more than 18 days in a school year. And research will tell you if that dips above 18 days, that impacts their academics, impacts their grades, their test scores, and their chances of actually graduating from high school. And so that's a number that we just started collecting because of some grant work that we had with the state, something we had to do to report to them, and something that we're really happy about that because now we are tracking and collecting that data, and we are making sure our students are going to school. And we can see at the semester how much school they've missed and having those conversations with families. And then 9th grade on track is another kind of buzzwordy one that the state and a lot of foundations are concerned with. What that is that 9th graders who complete their first year in high school, they have the necessary credits. They're on track to graduate after that 9th grade year, that they've passed the right amount of classes, that they've attained the level of credits they need to graduate. So again, we're at 100% with the 9th grade on track rate compared to the 85 and 87% for the state and the district. I'm pretty sure I presented these numbers to you when we first started, but the numbers have not changed that much, so I just kept it here. 2015 Pell Institute study reported that 9% of the bachelor's degrees of the class of 2013 were from low-income backgrounds. 9% of all graduates, compared to 77% of graduates from the top tier income level. It's a giant gap. So that's what we're, again, up against. We're looking at 88% of our academy graduates enroll in 2 or 4-year colleges in their first year after completion of our program. That's compared with a 55% matriculation rate on the national average. So again, those touch points, really making sure that we are supporting them. 75% of our students are either still in college or they have graduated from a 2-year and 4-year institution. And when I started, that number was in the low 60s. But as we see more and more of our students going to college and more of them having the opportunity to graduate, that number is going to continue to increase. And I'm hoping that we hit 80% when our newest group of students graduate from college this next year. Our retention rate, our class of 2020, our current seniors, from the group that started as 8th graders, 71% have remained. But I think the number that I'm really proud of, and I know Delia, who's our program director here, Delia, put your hand up just so everybody sees you. And I'll talk about Delia a little bit more. We're really proud of, because since Delia and I got here, I'm going to just, toot our own horn real quick. Our retention rate is 93%. And so really, thank you, thank you. Our real goal has been to try to find as many ways to keep our students in our program. And if they're not meeting our expectations, try and identify why they're not meeting expectations and try to meet them where they are at. If it's family, if it's academics, what can we do to support them, and how can we shift our program to support where they are currently at? And again, our demographics of students, we're working with a strong population of immigrant families. 37% of our academy parents have completed no higher than a middle school education. And so, we're doing as much as we can, not just with the students, but the families, and I'll get into that a little bit more. And then lastly, 83% of our parents speak a language other than English. So our students have many barriers. Our students have many advantages. We look at bilingualism as a huge advantage. And it's our role to try to figure out what kind of supports we can give our students to make sure that they're making the achievement and they're doing the things we think that they are capable of doing. So I won't go into too much depth because I think most of you are familiar and had that lovely introduction that explained what we do, but we are a free 5-year program. Starts the summer before their 8th grade year, and our primary focus is college access. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and empower students from historically underrepresented communities who have the desire to achieve a higher education. And so we're looking for students who have big dreams, big goals. They want to see their lives improve over time. And we're there to support them in addressing factors that discourage them from attending college, That could be basic knowledge of how to fill out a FAFSA. That could be signing up for the SAT. For a lot of our students, and I'll get into this later, it's financial barriers, so scholarship access. We aim to demystify the college experience. That's going to be most of this presentation, and the different ways worth rethinking how we can demystify the college experience for our students. And we're committed to helping students attend the college of their choice. I think last time I tried to be as clear as possible with you all 2.5 years ago, because before I got here, that last one was teetering as maybe not what was going to be happening. But I'm really proud of the diversity of schools that our students are choosing and the schools that they're getting themselves into and the reasons that they're choosing those schools. So who we currently serve. 90% of our students come from low-income families. We use free or reduced lunch status to determine that. And 100% are first-gen college students, meaning their parents did not attend college or graduate from college. And 100% of our students are from historically underrepresented racial groups in higher education. To be eligible for our program, our students only need to come from one of those breakdowns. Some of our students are all three of these things, but they only need to be one in order to qualify and apply. Our nominations process hasn't looked too different from the last time we chatted, but our students are nominated by their counselors, their teachers, community members in the 7th grade. And since I last spoke to you, we are now working incredibly closely with the district, in particular the Indian Education Program, to make sure that we are allowing access to our Native students in the district. As you saw those numbers, our district, our state, are not serving the students from Native and Black communities the way in which we need to be. And so we want to make a bigger effort to make sure we're identifying students and that they are gaining this access point as well who come from our Native communities in the district. We are also working really closely with the Equity Office of the district, and that Equity Office is in particular to identify Black African American students who may not know about our program, but with the proper access are super, super eligible to join this program. Our students are considered based on income, grades, family history. They all have a teacher recommendation that gets filled out. And then our second phase of those interviews is we bring in families, and we come in and we interview them and get to know the families a little bit better, get to know the students a little bit better. Around 30 students accepted in each cohort. The last 2 years, we've accepted 32 students in each cohort. I'd like to keep it around 28 to 30, but as you can imagine, when you bring in 60 families to interview, you fall in love with 60 families. And so it's really difficult to narrow that list down to 30 or 32. There's no exact science to it. We try to find the families that we think have the biggest need and that would use our support to the best of their ability. Currently, we're serving 152 students in the Salem-Keizer School District. Our programs, the first is mentoring. As I go to conferences about college access, as I talk to other programs about the work that they do, there's some things in here about our programs that really separate us and make us different. One of those is our mentoring. A lot of programs do mentoring. Not a lot of programs have currently enrolled university students who are near peer mentors for their students. And so when I come to talk to folks, they're like, how do you get work study for that? How does that work? We've been trying to get college students to come in and pay them. And the benefit that our students get is not only are these students very close in age to them, they may even go to college with some of these students. Their mentor might be their classmate in a couple years if they choose to go to Willamette. And most of our mentors and student staff come from underrepresented communities as well. They may have even been enrolled at Willamette Academy at one point. So our students are seeing themselves mirrored directly back to them when they meet with their mentors. The kind of classic, if you can do it, I can do it type ideal, right? They see it firsthand with them, and they're understanding the steps that their mentor took to get to this place. We offer tutoring. We have a great volunteer base at Willamette who come in and tutor our students when they have need. Monthly Saturday enrichment. Once a month, we actually all come together at 9 a.m. in this very room, about 130 students or so on average, from our 152, and we come together as a community and we start our Saturday session. And so you're sitting in sacred space right now, which is great. Summer program is our students' favorite part of any year. They look forward to it. Our 8th and 9th graders are in a day camp. Our 12th graders act as camp counselors. So we have Willamette University staff members who are there serving as resident advisors and teaching assistants, but they get to take a giant step back, because it's actually our 12th graders who are going to be seniors that next year who are the leaders of that camp. They are running community building groups in the morning. They're waking up at 6:30 a.m. They're getting breakfast at 7:30, and they're hanging out with our 8th and 9th graders, making sure they're part of that. They're the ones sitting in classes as teaching assistants, supporting the instructors. They're the ones designing lessons after lunch to implement with our 8th and 9th graders, to get them a stronger bond, to introduce them to something new, to do something creative. And at the same time, those 12th graders are taking a scholarship writing course, and a college application course, and taking a class with a professor. We work them hard. They are at breakfast at 7:30. They are lights out at about 10:30, and they don't really have a break in between. Our 10th and 11th graders are in full residential as well. They stay on campus, and they're taking core content classes, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but with Willamette professors, which is really amazing. That's something new, certainly different since the last time we talked. That might have just been an idea I had at that point, but it's now a reality. Workshops, our students are required to go to a certain amount of workshops per year. Most of those workshops are events on campus. So that could be speaking on a panel, like some of them are going to in a little bit here. That could be going on a college tour. That might be going to a lecture on campus. To be on a campus like the university, we have a ton of different opportunities for our students to engage with students, faculty, and visitors. And then lastly, something that's really been revamped since Delia came into the fold about 2 years ago is our Puentes family program. And so not only are we trying to educate our students, we're really focused on educating our families so that they are aware of the things their children are going through in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and so on. We're making sure they understand how to fill out a FAFSA. We're making sure that they understand what the college application process is going to look like. We're making sure they understand how to read a transcript as a 9th grade parent, because that's going to be something that their kids are going to need to be able to do, and they should be doing it with them. So making sure that when those parents are picking up their students, when those students get into the car, those parents have an opportunity to ask them what they learned about today, or even tell their students what they as a parent learned today and what those students need to be focused on because of it, right? And so we're really trying to make sure we're looking at this as a whole family type approach. We're not isolating ourselves as the students as just the gatekeepers of this knowledge. And when I talk about what separates us from other programs, that's another huge component that people are dying to figure out how we do it. How do you bring the parents in? How do you get them there on Saturdays? What kind of content are you teaching them? The challenge with some of these other programs is that they're serving sometimes anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 students in a district. We like the scalability of our program. We like keeping it small because it allows for those touch points with not only students but with families as well. So that 150 mark, while it seems small when we compare it to other programs, is right where we want to be when it comes to the amount of support we're able to give. As we've mentioned before, and you already know, all of our programming takes place on campus. And so we have access to so many university resources. But the biggest resource we have access to for our students, if they choose to go to Willamette, is something we have called the College Achievement Plan. And I think some of you may be familiar with this, but for our students who have above a 3.6 GPA, they just have to take the SAT, and they've shown that they've challenged themselves with high school courses. They're guaranteed admission to Willamette and their full financial need met. And so when we talk about the financial barriers that face a lot of really successful students in high school, some of them just can't afford to go to college, right? It's just not a reality. Or they're going to have to go to community college and they have to work, and that's a fine pathway. But Willamette is trying their best to make sure that those barriers are eliminated. And so for most of our students, what they're paying out of pocket, paired with some loans each year, what they're paying out of pocket is anywhere between $0 and $3,000 on average. And Willamette is taking care of the rest of that need. What that looks like on a financial aid form for them is each year Willamette is spending an extra, I would say, on average between $15,000 and $20,000 per year per student that attends the university that has graduated from Willamette Academy. Right now, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but we have currently over 40 Willamette Academy students on campus enrolled, and that's the most we've ever had. So since the last time we talked, these were kind of the 5 big things that I was focused on. I was trying to figure out what they all meant and what that was going to look like. But we were in the middle of completing a program assessment and a strategic plan. That took me way longer than I thought it would, but it's done now. And so I have some things to tell you about that. And then we're looking to further integrate into the university structure. How can we make sure we're in every facet of this campus environment? We wanted more experiential learning opportunities. We needed to figure out a guaranteed and viable curriculum, which really just meant a long-term plan. What are our students learning over time, and how does that relate from year to year? And we wanted to find new creative avenue streams to support our budget. That's anybody. That's going to be in anybody's strategic plan. So the first stop is the program assessment in the strategic plan. What that really left us to be thinking about is that we needed to revise our recruitment process to promote greater equity and access for students. That's part of the relationship, a stronger relationship with the district, working with the Indian Ed program, working with the Equity Office, in particular to identify Black and Native families that could be eligible. The other organization in the city that we're starting to partner with, or we're thinking about a partnership, is Salem for Refugees. How can those families also have access to our program as well? And that's something we're working on right now. We wanted to scaffold the Academy's curriculum to create a more cohesive and coherent student experience. We kind of got into a pattern where we would come together to figure out what we wanted to teach on a Saturday, and we just kind of, oh, this sounds like a good idea, let's try that. Oh, maybe we could try this one next, let's do that. But there was no map of why we were doing what we were doing. There was no relationship, well, 8th graders did this last month, so with the 8th graders we should do this month. We weren't talking to each other. And so it's not perfect, but we now have a long-term plan with thematic elements of what our curriculum should look like to make sure that our students are getting the education at the academy that they need to access college. We wanted to improve our evaluation practices to better measure student progress and program impact. This has been hugely helped. It's funny what money can do. But when we've gotten grants over the last 2+ years, these grants, they force you to report. And they care about some things, and they force you to think about outcomes. And so that process has helped us really focus on what are our goals for our students when it comes to data. What are the outcomes we want to see for our students? And I'll have some numbers for that in a little bit. And then lastly, we wanted to promote stakeholder engagement with the academy to ensure its long-term sustainability. And so we're looking at promoting the program's integration within Willamette, trying to tighten our budget, not trying to reinvent the wheel. If there are other good people doing this work on campus, let's have them come in and do it instead of having us hire somebody and then that coming out of our budget. We wanted to strengthen and expand fundraising activities to promote the program's sustainability. We've done a really nice job of that over the last 1.5 years. And then we wanted to promote academy stakeholder engagement and feedback, making sure that we are talking to our families on a regular basis about what they need. So I'm really happy to report that I couldn't fit everything on this list. There's a lot of things we're doing with the university right now. The first is that we now have professors teaching our summer program. So we've had 9 different professors and 1 Willamette staff member over the last 2 summer camps, rotating in and out, teaching our core content. In the spring of 2018, we had a college writing course that was grant funded. So our students, our seniors, were taking a college level writing course to help with their transition that following year with a Willamette adjunct professor, which was really amazing. We've unfortunately not been able to bring that back because we just lack the funds right now. But we got great data out of it, and we're hoping to write another grant at some point for it. Our 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students can now access the library, check out books. Seems like yeah, duh. But it was, we had to have that conversation, especially to make sure our students are returning books on time, and we're not taking those fees. Our students have access to the writing center on campus. So if they're writing an essay, they have an opportunity to go work with college students to get help on that essay. They've always had access to the music practice rooms here on campus, so a lot of students will bring their instruments, go over to Fine Arts East and grab a practice room. We just started this year an instructor intern position, so at our Saturday sessions, we have 3 Willamette University students that are getting a half credit per semester to be the instructors, teaching our 8th graders, our 9th graders, our 10th graders, designing lessons. We don't have a school of ed anymore, but Willamette Academy can be a school of ed for our university students who have some kind of interest in teaching. Maybe they just think they do and they come and they realize maybe that's not for them. But so far, after our first Saturday session, these instructors are going to be really, really amazing. It was really great to see them in action 2 weeks ago. We have a bunch of service learning courses that Willamette University professors are teaching, and as a part of that class, students are required to do a certain amount of volunteer hours. One of these courses, Spanish 331, is a Spanish course for native Spanish speakers. Anybody can take it, but it's particularly earmarked for native speakers, and they have partnered with us. So we're getting about 20 volunteers a year or a semester just from that class itself. The Career Development Office here on campus is going to come in and work with our 10th graders on resume building and on career exploration and on creating LinkedIn profiles. Our students are going to have their pictures taken, and they're going to have a little LinkedIn profile as a 10th grader, already getting that idea of what it takes to get a job. The Bearcat Pantry on campus, the SOAR Center, I should say, is a resource on campus. It's a clothing share. It's a food share. For our students that need clothes, this is supposed to be for university students, but they have offered the resources to us. So if our students need clothes for an interview, they can go in and check clothes out. Really, they don't have to return them. They can take them, but they can return them if they'd like to. If they're hungry, if their families are in need, they can go to the pantry and they can pick up things and items for their families. It's a resource that Willamette students felt a need for, and they have offered it to us as well. The Sociology Qualitative Methods course was huge as we did our program assessment. They were in there interviewing families, interviewing students, and it's funny, the more Academy students that come to Willamette, the more Willamette students want to research Willamette Academy, and there's no coincidence. We had a freshman student who spent her whole summer doing parent research, interviewing families, and so she's doing a big old report that she got paid to do over the summer. Delia was really instrumental with our American Studies program partnership. So for our ASP students, our partnership with Tokyo International University, over the summer we had 2 students who worked for camp. They created lessons for students, they led them in community building, and they volunteered their time at our big family picnic at the end of one of our camps. That's new. This one I'm still trying to figure out how it's going to work, but I'm excited. The School of Management, Atkinson, the MBA program, their first-year students are going to do a project for our program to help us figure out what social return on investment is and what the SROI of Willamette Academy might be. A lot of programs have ROI. You give $1, here's how much your dollar's worth, right? We're trying to figure out what the social impact that we have with the work that we do. How do increased graduation rates impact our community? And how can we quantify that? Experiential learning. We have a new space on campus. When I was meeting with you, we were on 3 separate spaces. We were on the 2nd floor of Smolin. My office was on the 1st floor, and our building was all the way on the edge of campus over there. Right now, as you walk out of Waller Hall today at Cone Chapel, our building is straight across from here in Fine Arts West. We have the entire 2nd floor with plenty of office space, with plenty of space for our students to come in and study. In our computer lab that fits 20 computers, we can fit more students alone in there than we could have at our old space. And so it's really amazing to have that. And we've got a great view of the quad and this building. And that provides more than just space for our students. They're walking to the middle of campus while rugby practice is going on. They're walking through the middle of campus on a nice spring day while there's a slip and slide happening on the quad, right? They're seeing kickball. They're seeing what a college environment looks like because they're at the very center of it every day they come. Our students, you can find them in the bistro, grabbing a coffee or maybe a cookie, maybe sitting down and studying there, which is really amazing. We had a student visit us, actually Vanessa, who will be here today speaking on the panel. She doesn't go here. She goes to the University of Oregon, but they haven't started classes yet, and she had an interview coming up. Maybe she'll talk about this later. I'm still in her thunder. But she went to the bistro to prepare. She just needed to get out of her house. And then she came over to the academy afterwards. Each summer camp, our 12th graders have dinners sponsored by them. We used to go meet with funders, people who donated to the program and wanted to host our students at their homes. And I would love to continue doing that at some point, but what we've actually done now is we have different departments on campus sponsor dinners. So now our 12th graders are getting access and experience. They're learning from those different departments. We have Jade Aguilar, who's our VP of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. She hosts a dinner. We have admissions host a dinner. The law school and the MBA school hosted a joint dinner. The Office of Advancement, our fundraising arm, they hosted a dinner. President Thorset, he hosted dinner. So our students, again, are getting multiple touch points with different folks on campus and understanding that these are not specific to Willamette University. These people exist on other campuses as well, so regardless if they choose to come to Willamette, they know folks that they can access who are going to be supportive of their success. We now have gone to the Oregon Historical Society with our 12th graders each of the last 3 summers and taken them there to see the exhibit and to have a big old pizza party and just to learn and be in community with each other. So even that museum access is great. Our 9th graders go to the Hallie Ford now, which is another great opportunity for them. This was another dream I had last time I talked to you, but we now go to Seattle each year with our juniors as we kick off kind of their college search, their last 2 years where they really need to make it count. And so we go up and see Seattle University and the University of Washington. We we get to campus at 5:30 a.m. We drive up there to hopefully miss traffic. We get back at about 11 p.m. It's a very long day, but we're seeing the 2 universities. We're letting them go to the market there, and we set them free a little bit. We let them explore. We let them get that idea of, A, what does UW look like? It's a huge campus. Or we think Oregon State or U of O is big. UW is giant. And then we see another school comparable to Willamette, like Seattle University, which is a real option for our students. And they get to see what a big city looks like. And then career talks, bringing folks in to talk about their careers, their pathway to those careers. And our 10th graders culminate each year with interviewing a professional in a specific career field that they might want to pursue, so that they have a touch point, they're having a conversation, and they're talking with people about what pathway they chose and what it takes to reach that level. As I mentioned, our long-term curriculum plan, we have many buckets now, but these are just kind of the few big ones that we have. We want to make sure our 8th and 9th and 10th graders are getting college and career exploration opportunities. We want our 8th and 9th graders to start learning how to tell their story. That includes allowing them space to talk about their families, their identities, their race, their class, all these different things that intersect. Bring their history into their classroom, which they don't always get to do in their district classrooms. Our alumni during our program assessment would not stop talking about adulting. I didn't know how to adult. What they were really talking about was financial literacy. I didn't understand how taxes worked. I didn't understand how to write a check. I don't know about like retirement. Why is this money coming out of my paycheck? So these are all things that were credit. A lot of our students, for good measure, they're scared to death of loans and getting bad credit. And so they don't get credit cards, or they don't take out loans to buy a car. And so having that real conversation of what is good credit, what is bad credit, and how much loans are too much, right? Like at what price point are we saying you probably shouldn't? So making sure our students have that understanding before they even look at a financial aid letter. Getting really specific with SAT and ACT prep, making sure our students have guaranteed time to study for that. And then, of course, for our 11th and 12th graders, heavy on the high school college transition. And that's applications, it's understanding what to expect. And then for all grades, leadership. I think one of the things we really consider ourselves is a program full of leaders. Our students have varying academic abilities, but the one thing we want them to be is leaders in their schools and their communities. So, sustainable budget. Now we're getting towards the end of that where we left off the last time I came and visited you. The approximate cost per student is about $1,910 per year. So for an academy student to get a mentor, Saturday programming, tutoring, workshops, and a summer camp experience, it's almost $2,000 per year. Done a lot of look at budgets. I've done a lot of looking around at what other camps charge. Summer camps that last a week just by themselves are charging $1,300. And so the fact that we're able to do it at this price point is pretty impressive with the amount of support our students are getting. Where our budget comes from is the biggest challenge. We have a university endowment that takes care of about 22%. So that's the only guaranteed money we're getting each year, is that 22% of our budget. The rest of it we're trying to fill in with grants and foundations. We're really proud. We just got, for the next 2 years, we just got a huge $160,000 grant with the state, the Oregon Youth Development Council, which will take care of us the next 2 years at $80,000 dispersed each year. And we're really pumped for that because that helps with these numbers. But the biggest challenge ahead is that other 47%. And if the grants run out and we can't identify those large-scale grants or get accepted to those large-scale foundations, what happens to the other 31%? Now, the nice thing about this private donors and fundraising is that the university has really stepped up. Last time I talked to you, the president's office had agreed to give out 2 years worth of $100,000 installments to make sure we had some bridge funding to get back on our feet. And now Ruth Feingold, who's the Dean of the Liberal Arts, we are now a budget item in that budget, and she's been able to shuffle funds over to make sure that whatever gap we have is taken care of by the CLA. Not an easy thing to do with tough financial times, but she's made it work, and we're really thankful to her support and the university's support in that, because we're definitely working hard to make sure they don't have to, but it's nice to have them do that. So within the sustainable budget, the first 2.5 years of the program, we were able to secure $154,000 in grant work and foundation work. We're really proud of that number. It was tough. I was still learning what to do. But just in this year alone, we've already secured $84,000. So we're really excited. It is September, and we're feeling really good about the other grants we have coming up and hoping that they say yes as well. Individual donors, my first 2 years, we hovered around $30,000 and $40,000 a year, but last year we had a huge year. We were able to bring in $115,000 in individual donor support, which we're really, really happy about. Our goal this year is to get another 10 onto that and hit $125,000. But even then, we're not taking care of our full budget. So we need to really be thinking about this in a two-prong approach. Our endowment, which is really nice. Like I said, that 22%. For us to be sustainable, that endowment has to increase. Because the yearly rat race of going to meet with donors and trying to figure out if it's a match or not, or trying to convince folks, it's tough to do and it takes a lot of resources. It's tiring, it's long. But if we can continue to have amazing donor support and folks that want to support this program and have some kind of passion for it, paired with other folks saying, hey, we would love to find a way to support the endowment. That would be amazing. Over the last year and a half, we had 2 separate donors within their estate gifts pledge a total of $1.5 million for an endowment, which is awesome. But as any estate gift, we wish them long and healthy lives, but we don't know when that money might be coming, right? And so we're really excited about that because I think what it shows is that we are a sustainable program, that we've gotten back to a level of which we are really supporting our students, and that we have folks that really believe we're going to last, and we're going to keep supporting our students, that we have something special here. And so if we can continue to look at how we can get endowment support and continue to raise that number, as well as annual support, I have no doubt that we're going to have a sustainable budget and that we're going to be able to do this. I'm really excited about this goal. If you asked me in 2016 if I thought $125,000 was a reality, I would have probably laughed because I was looking at returns of about $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 over the last 3 years before I got here. And so it's amazing to see that. And we're really, really excited to put a lot of work into getting that point. So as I mentioned, we do have some goals on top of financial and sustainable budgets. We have some goals for our students. Right now we're sitting at a 3.52 overall GPA for all students, and we would like to hit that 3.6 mark this year. We want 100%, we want that to remain, of our 9th grade students staying on track for high school graduation. I want our retention rate overall to maintain at 80%. Like I said, we're at 93 right now. Our current senior class is at 71. I would like to see it level out at 80%. We want to go from 80 to 85% positive attendance rate, which means 85% of our students are missing no more than 18 days of school. That's a tough one because that means we really have to stay on top of our students. Through mentoring, we really need to make sure they understand the importance of going to school every day. This one we usually hit. The scholarship one's a little tricky, but we want 100% of our 12th grade students to apply to at least 7 colleges, complete the FAFSA, and apply to 7 colleges, complete the FAFSA and apply to 15 scholarships. And then lastly, we want our matriculation rate to hit 100%. We want to see 100% of our students either attending a 2-year or 4-year college within 1 year of graduation. And we would like to see 70% of our academy graduates achieve an associate's or bachelor's degree within 6 years. That last one's really lofty, but I think we have to set our goals really high if we want to reach the levels we want. And as you saw in the first slide, we can't really settle for anything less. We're regressing. And so we want to make sure that our goals are in direct conflict of what that data shows. And lastly, I'll leave you with this. I think this is my last slide. No, I have one more after this, but I think ultimately our success is measured by the colleges our students are going to, by that graduation rate of a 2-year or 4-year college. And this is a list of schools that our students are going to. 2 years ago, we sent a student to Stanford. Last year, we sent one of our students to Harvard. We sent a student to American University, and I love this story, and I tell it because that student we sent to American, her GPA was about a 3.3, 3.4. American's average GPA is about a 3.9 of incoming freshmen. And so she decided, we're trying to figure out if she should apply for early decision or not. And what early decision, and this is an access point, early action and early decision deadlines are usually in November. And if students apply to those deadlines, their chances of getting into a school are usually much higher. For a school like American University, early decision, which is it's binding, meaning if the student gets accepted, they're expected to go. And they can't apply to more than one early decision school, but she wanted to be in DC. It was her dream, and American was a school that felt like the best fit. Their early decision acceptance rate is 80%. Their regular decision acceptance rate is about 21%. This is information I didn't know about when I was applying to schools. I'm also a terrible example. I applied to 2 schools and that was it. Okay, so I'm already a hypocrite when I talk about this stuff with our students. But she got accepted with a GPA that was much lower than what the average was, but because with our support, she was able to recognize that if she applied early decision, her chances were going to increase dramatically, and she's currently in DC taking that course, which is great, or taking those classes at American. We sent a kid to Pomona. And the thing about schools like Pomona and Stanford and Harvard is that, yes, we know what they are, but they also offer full financial need. They take care of the entire bill for their students. And so part of our goal is for our students who can't go to Stanford, Harvard, or Pomona, 3 really, really amazing schools, is that if Willamette isn't the fit for them, even if they have full financial need met, what can be the fit? A school like Seattle University, they have a scholarship, the Sullivan Scholarship, that takes care of the full ride that they offer to a handful of students each year. We need to make sure our students understand that they need to apply to the Sullivan Scholarship if they're applying to Seattle U, because if they don't, and they don't get that scholarship, there's a good chance they might not be able to afford that school. Even the University of Oregon. Our students don't want to go to a small school like Willamette. They want to go to a bigger state school and get that experience. Great. But for a lot of our students, they can't afford to go to the University of Oregon. So we need to connect them with scholarships like the Pathways and the Diversity Scholarship. And if they get those 2 scholarships at U of O, it's free. And so a lot of our students have had access to those scholarships now and get to go. And now their decision isn't just based on financial. They're not just going to Willamette because it's the cheapest option, even though it's a fine option. They're now able to say, I have multiple schools that it's not going to cost much to go to. And I'm going to pick the one that's the best fit for me. That being said, we are really proud that the graduating class of 2017, about a month after I last met with you, we sent 14 of our 20 students who are graduating for the program at year 2 Willamette. The next year, graduating class of 2018, we sent 13 of our 28 graduates. At that time, 28 was our largest number we ever had. And last year of 29, we sent 16 Willamette Academy students to Willamette University. So as I mentioned earlier, we currently have over 40 Academy students on campus. And Willamette is providing, over a 4-year period, those numbers add up, right? But it's going to hit over $1 million in extra aid just to our Academy students that come here, which is really neat. I think the thing, and I might have shared these pictures with you last time, but I think one of the things that really keeps us going in this work is generational support. So that's a picture of me back in 2006, the first summer after my freshman year at Willamette, and I was a summer camp counselor for Willamette Academy. That same summer, my little brother, who's right below me, he was a member of the very first class of Academy students. He was having his senior summer experience. And so I got to tell him what to do for an entire summer, which was really great. But this is a program that is really personal for me. And it's personal for a lot of our students that work for it. Delia, our program director, was not only a graduate of the program, I was her mentor for a day when I worked for the program, but she graduated from Willamette as well and has come back to be our program director and put in the work on a daily basis to make sure we are successful. And every year, this is just 6 students, but every year we have students that go to Willamette that were academy students that come back to volunteer, that come back to work, to be mentors for our students because they want to give back. And so that generational support, if nothing else, I would argue is going to keep us successful and keep our momentum going and make sure that we're supporting our students in this district. All 152 that we support and the countless families and other students and siblings that are impacted by our work, supporting them to the best of our ability to make sure they're reaching the goals that they have set for themselves and that they're getting every opportunity to go to the college of their choice. So I will leave it at that and open it up to questions if you have any. There it is. Yeah, anybody? Sorry, yeah. Oh, okay. Got it.
What do you qualify to get into the academy? What do you have to do or be or?
Yeah, so the demographics is the easy one. And so we're looking for students of color, students who come from low-income families, students who have the potential to be first-gen college students, and a lot of our students are also possibly recent immigrants. So those 4 categories qualify a student, but what we're looking for is potential, is leadership. Our students have very different academic abilities, and we try to divvy up those GPA. GPA is a tough thing to look at for a 7th grader. Let me just put that right there, right? So we can sit there and look at 4.0 students all we want, but there's a good chance they're not going to be 4.0 students when they get to high school or when they get to college. So it's kind of a balancing act, right? And so I can tell you what our most recent class was, and we had 10 students that we accepted that had below a 2.0 and 3.5 GPA. And then the other 20 had above a 3.5 and between a 4.0 GPA, right? So we're really trying to find some kind of balance in there. And even students who we recognize some kind of spark in, they just have that it factor. It's hard to really explain unless you're in that interview. We had a student who is still in ELL classes, like still very much working on her English proficiency, had around a 3.0 GPA, but was not taking challenging courses. But we saw her, and we're like, I just feel like with the right support and around this group of students, she could really rise and be who we think she could be. She has that potential. And so we're looking for moments like that as well. We're looking for students who demonstrate and their teachers recognize some kind of leadership capability. That if they're quiet and a teacher recognizes that they're quiet, they advocate for themselves. If they're loud, their peers listen to them. If they talk a little too much in class, we just got to refocus them and they're going to do that, right? So I think there's different ways leadership can look like, and we hope that we can have a breadth of type of students that we have enrolled in our program. Yeah.
Hi, this is Lester. I looked at your list of places where your students have been placed, and I didn't see any community colleges on there like
yes.
Chemeketa.
Yes.
No one goes to Chemeketa?
That's a great question. It should be up there. We have quite a few that go to Chemeketa, and that should be on there. You're actually making me really rethink how I frame that slide. So in our last year's graduating class, we have 3 students that are currently enrolled at Chemeketa. And each year, in each graduating class, we have students that are going to Chemeketa. The challenge with a lot of our students is that, and this is partially an environment that we've created, I think, but also just the current state of education, is a lot of our students will do whatever it takes to get to that 4-year, even if that 4-year is not a financial fit or an academic fit. And that's a really tough conversation to have with a student who says, I got this opportunity to go to a 4-year university, and we're sitting here saying, I think you need to go to this 2-year, because A, it's going to be cheaper, and B, you're going to get the skills you need to then be fully prepared to attend this 4-year that you want to go to. And so Chemeketa is certainly an option. We bring folks into from Chemeketa to talk with our students that are going to be enrolling there each year. But it's, I would say, anywhere between 3 and 4 students out of each graduating class since I've been here has gone to Chemeketa.
Joel back here, just a question. Seems to me, if my memory serves me well, and sometimes it doesn't, the position of your program was rather tenuous last time you were here.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that was program-wise or budget-wise, and if the university is now, after seeing these stats, more supportive. I know this group was a strong advocate for
Yes, I appreciate that question. Yes, tenuous is a good word. I like to talk about when the drama happened before I got here, yeah. No, I think I've been really fortunate. I think we as a program have been really fortunate where I have seen nothing but support since I started. And I think what that did is it really caused the university to look itself in the mirror and think about how are we supporting this program. It was very isolated. It was very much on an island. It was very much doing things itself. So when we talk about that, finding ways to really get integrated into the university, we've done a lot of that work, but the university has equally done a lot of that work. So there's no way I would have hit, or we would have hit that $115,000 mark last year without direct support from the advancement office. Gone are the days, luckily, where I'm the only one out there talking about Willamette Academy. I think gone are the days where it's an expectation that maybe the ED is taking on the brunt work of writing grants. We have 2 people on the team that are writing grants and thinking really strategically about what grants we should be applying to. So I get to come in and add things and edit things as opposed to sit down in my office and spend, hours and hours writing a grant, which I might not be the most qualified to write. This is a space where I feel much more confident in. But yeah, I think from a level of support, we talked about the university financial support that they've given us over the last 3 budget cycles, actually 4 budget cycles now, as well as just the people support. Professors volunteering their time over the summer. We're not paying them, they're choosing to be here. And so that kind of stuff has really, really meant a lot to our program.
How do the early beneficiaries of the Willamette Academy remain connected to what's going on now?
Like our alumni base? Yeah, good question. It's been a bit tricky, and that's something we're actually going to try to do a kind of an alumni. We're going to do some alumni-specific fundraising this year to try to bring back that culture of philanthropy for our students that have gone through the program. It's tough. What I will say is the best moment to see alumni is at our graduation every year. So over the last 2 years, we've had representatives from every Willamette Academy graduating class at our academy graduations, which has been really neat. We do it every year in Hudson Hall. Last year, we almost ran out of space. There were so many people there. And so even that moment last year was kind of a moment of like, I think we're back. I think this might be like the moment that we have arrived back because we had alumni, we had families, we had Willamette University staff members and professors, and we had our students there all celebrating that graduating class. So the alumni piece and staying connected, we have a Facebook group. The nice thing about Delia and I having a lot of history with the program, we're connected with a lot of former alums, but we need to do a better job of formalizing what that kind of connection looks like.
One last question before our break.
And I'm more than happy to stay and hang for other questions. Yeah, and then the second half, of course.
So I'm did not hear a prior year's presentation. Is this connected, the Upward Bound program, which was connected from, I remember in the 70s, which was trying to connect underserved populations with college culture. Is this related in any way to that? Did that die long ago?
It's related in, I guess it's related in kind of strategy and structure. It's not the same thing. And so Upward Bound is government funded. Linfield used to have an Upward Bound program. Chemeketa currently has a great Upward Bound program that a lot of our students we've even had students enrolled in both programs sometimes. And so that's a really great one. Those students are getting high school credit opportunities and college credit opportunities over the summer. The credit thing is something we'd love to try to figure out at some point. But our focus is a lot more on getting students on campus, getting them connected to different resources and that demystifying, more so than credit recovery. And so similar, but the way we do it is a little different. Upward Bound, if you're an Upward Bound site, almost all of your money is probably coming from the government, which is great because you're getting a lot of money from the government to run that program. Whereas we're focused a lot more on privately funded ways to make sure our students are taken care of. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. We're looking forward to the second half. And,
thank you.
Well, as if we haven't had enough inspiration, I get guess we get about another 45 minutes of that. Prepare for, there's going to be plenty of time left for questions, comments. I said we need to throw flowers at him or checkbooks, all that kinds of stuff.
Awesome. Okay, well, now we're going to get the real experts because I can sit up here and talk about how amazing I think we are. But they're the ones that are actually going to be able to tell you if we are or not. So I'm going to invite two of our alums and 2 current students to come on up to the stage, have a seat, and I'm going to let them, with wherever I put the other microphone, which is right here, introduce themselves. So let's do name, maybe a year, a graduation year in the academy, high school you graduated from, either what college you graduated from or are currently going to. Same thing for you, but high school related. Okay.
Hi, my name is Leone Davila. I graduated from the program in 2015. I went to South Salem High School, and I actually recently just graduated from Oregon State's Honors College.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm Vanessa. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay, so I'm Vanessa. I graduated from the academy in 2018. I'm currently about to be a sophomore at the University of Oregon. And what was the last name? That's it.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
Alrighty, hi, my name is Andrea. I am currently a senior, so I will be graduating this year from the academy, and I go to South Salem High School.
My name is Gabriel Gerardo. I am currently a sophomore at McKay High School. McKay High School?
Realizing how many South Salem people we have on here, but we're good. So the first question I have that I want them to cover, and each of you can take it, or if you want to maybe not answer that one, that's okay. What was it like to receive an acceptance letter to the academy, if you can remember back when you were a 7th grade student?
For me, I felt like it was just strange just to hear something that a program that I never heard of. But when I went, I just felt honored because just get a recommendation from a teacher to be in a program that helps with graduating high school and going into college, I felt happy. And I just going to the meeting, introducing the academy, I felt very happy just to feel like I could be something in the future.
For me, I actually did not receive the letter first. My counselor called me up first, so that kind of ruined the moment a little bit. But my parents had opened the letter before I did, and just to see their faces when I got home, that they were like, "We have a surprise for you." And I was like, "I got into the academy," and they're like, "How did you know?" But it was really exciting because it was the first major thing. As a 7th grader, you really have nothing to do. And then this huge thing comes up, and then you're just super excited and proud that you finally got into something that's worth a while.
So for me, getting acceptance from the academy, it was definitely a moment that meant it means a lot for me and my mom. Because I always knew I wanted to go to college, but I never knew how I was going to start, where to start looking, how to get myself organized. And so when I heard about the program and went through the interview process, and I went with my mom, and it was just a really big deal for us. And so getting that acceptance letter, it was a moment that I'm going to always remember because it's a lot of new opportunities open for me. And I felt really proud and honored and blessed.
For me, it was really special because both my family and I put a lot of effort into that application to submit it to Willamette Academy. And at that moment, in that time, I had never experienced that feeling, and neither had my family. So to get that acceptance letter, at that time, it had been the most prestigious acceptance letter that I've ever received. So it just gave me that moment that I'd never experienced in my life of wow, this is what it feels like to be accepted into something, so it was great, and it gave me a pathway to college because like Vanessa was saying, I'd always known I wanted to go to college, and this gave me the first stepping stone to get there, so yeah.
Okay. So I just want to add, so going through the acceptance process, and then applying to college. When I got accepted to my first university, like that feeling, that excitement and emotion, it was the same thing as when I got accepted to the academy, and so it was something really special.
Our next question is, what are your barriers in your pursuit of higher ed, or maybe what were some of the barriers that you had in that pursuit of attainment?
I would say that probably one of the biggest barriers was not the lack of support, maybe there were people who were there to guide me, but they weren't people that maybe looked like me, or that I felt okay going up to and asking them questions. And that was something that the academy gave to me, is being surrounded by people who were there to guide me, who I knew for sure that they wanted the best intentions for me, and that were there whenever I needed to ask a question about something related to college. And that was something that I felt like I couldn't find at South, where I went to high school. So, yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So what are or were some obstacles or barriers in your pursuit of higher education?
Okay, yeah, so kind of like what Leo was saying, one of the barriers for me was kind of finding where to start and finding like a balance. I'm the oldest in my family out of all my siblings, and so and it's just me and my mom in the house, so it's always like I have so much like responsibilities, and it's hard to like organize myself sometimes, having all the responsibilities at home, and then also having to make sure like my academic and college life is on track. But that was the biggest barrier for me. But with the academy, I feel like with my mentors and the professors and all the support I had from all of my peers in my class, it was really something that helped me stay focused and definitely stay motivated also.
Anyway, I think for me, the greatest barrier was that, well, my mom, she only went up to 5th grade, and my dad graduated from high school, but it was in Mexico, so it was different. So they did not know how any of this worked. They did not know what FAFSA was, or what the college applications or any of that worked. So I couldn't really ask them for help. And I know a lot of like other peers had like their parents who were like doctors or something, and they had that someone to talk to. And I think the program really helped my parents with that, and that was really good. Also another that Emilio talked about before, the financial barrier. Again, we didn't have a lot of money. We couldn't pay for like tutoring that was like $50 to prep for the SAT. It was that kind of barrier, which is still kind of here, but it was financial and that lack of support, which it helped with.
For me, I feel like it's just like knowing what I want to do in college and like what like I want to do after college, and like finding the right major that I want to be in, or just the like education field that I would like want to study in or work in. And so it's just that.
All right. When you think about the program, what do you most value about Willamette Academy? And that could be something we do, that could be an experience that you had. But what do you most value about Willamette Academy?
I most value like the community that the academy has, because like everyone knows each other and everyone is like most helpful to each other, and like there's always a good support. There's like no like negativity that go along inside the academy. It's just more like a community of respect for everybody.
Well, same thing as Gabriel. It's that support that we have. But I also want to share a story from my first residential camp. We were studying birds and animals, and Emilio told us that we were going to go bird watching at Minto Brown. That Minto Brown ride took like an hour, and it was actually to the zoo, which was really exciting. But we got to see the different birds and what we learned in the classes and apply it to when we were walking around the zoo. Afterwards, we went bowling, and then we were singing Bohemian Rhapsody on our way there. But it was really exciting, and it was kind of that community thing that we were all there for each other and having fun, but also learning. It was pretty amazing.
I would also have to say the community, just with my class, like my peers, and also the like the support in the community with like the staff members. I feel like at the academy we all have like each other's backs, if you know what I mean. It's like we're all there for each other. We all support each other. And I met some of my best friends at the academy, and like along the way, while they're at other universities, they're also letting me know about their opportunities on their campus, and so it's helping me to like get involved not only on my campus but on other campuses as well, and it's helping me with like leadership development and just other like career opportunities. And so it's community is like it all started at the academy. All of the things I'm doing now, everything traces back to the academy, and so I would agree that community is the biggest thing in the academy.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. Community, support, and the commitment that they have for each student. Like, I'll show a personal story as well, just so you see like the type of commitment that the academy has for each student. When I was a freshman in high school, I got sick and I had to leave school for a year and a half. And when I got back from that absence, I went to my South Salem High School, to my counselor, and I said, I want to try to graduate on time with my classes as possible. And they like kind of right away shut the door on me and said, no, you're gonna have to like stay an extra year and it's just not possible for you. So I was like devastated. I went to the director at the time for Willamette Academy and I told him my situation, and they're always there for you. He's like, if you want to put in the work and if you really want to do this, like, we're gonna make it happen. So he did all the phone calls for me. He called the school. He told them like, this is what's gonna happen. I came up with this plan for Leo so that he can graduate on time, and I know it's possible. And he did all that for me because at the moment, I didn't have a voice, I was, at the time when I came back, I was a sophomore, and I didn't have a voice. I didn't know I had a voice. I did have a voice, but I didn't know I had it. And Joshua, the director at the time, he did that for me. He told me, he saw the potential in me. He saw the spark that I wanted to keep going, that I wanted to graduate, because that was important to me. And so, yeah, they have a commitment for you. Once you're in the program, they don't give up on you. If they see that, they're there for you every step of the way. So, yeah, it's the commitment and the community that comes with being in the academy. So, yeah.
This might be more for Vanessa and Leo, but how did your experience in the academy serve you in college, or currently? How does it currently serve you in college?
More than anything, being in the academy showed me, again, going back to the same thing, like my potential, and it gave me an identity. So going to a huge school like Oregon State, sometimes you go through things where you feel like you're not maybe good enough or like you don't belong. And definitely going through the academy, they showed me that I do, that I deserve everything that I'm doing, everything that I worked for, that I deserve to be in that space just as any other student who got there. So they really helped me reassure myself that I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm good enough at times where I felt like maybe I wasn't. So just going through the academy, it gave me that an identity, and it made me know my potential. Yeah.
Could you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
Of course. How did your experience in the academy serve you in college?
Right. Okay, so at the academy, we're required to do like teacher emails, and we have our mentorship appointments every week, and so like getting comfortable with that and getting into that routine, I didn't while I was at the academy, I didn't realize like how important it actually mentorship is, and speaking with other people is. Like, for example, like at my college right now, whenever I have like any struggles with any classes, I feel confident to like send an email or go into office hours and know exactly what I'm going to talk about. And so I think all those years, that I was so like annoyed by the emails, but I'm grateful that I did them, and I'm grateful that I got in the habit of sending teacher emails at such a young age, because in college I've really been able to step up for myself and advocate for myself, which is what they taught me at the academy.
Yeah, and so teacher emails are this super amazing thing that we make all of our students do each semester. They send an email to their current teachers introducing themselves, even if they already know their teacher, and acknowledging that they are a Willamette Academy student. And as such, they have specific goals they've set for themselves, or they have particular areas that they may struggle in that class. And so they may need extra support in a certain area or not. And as Gabriel and Andrea can tell you, who need to complete those by October 18th, it's just a great way to start opening up that communication and getting them used to not only email etiquette, but also teacher communication, and starting that advocacy for themselves. That's the goal, at least, so it's really amazing to hear somebody really appreciate that. I'll tell all the students at the October Saturday session that you said that, Vanessa. For Andrea and Gabriel, I know this question isn't necessarily directed to you, but maybe you could talk about the type of high schooler you are because of the academy, or maybe the way in which you interact with others, or what is the program allowed you to do in your high school experience?
Well, as you guys know, not everybody gets accepted into the academy. It's 30 students that get accepted. So as a senior now, I'm often used as an example. This summer, we had to create a list of the colleges that we want to go to, the tuition price, the deadlines, and everything that goes along with that. And my AVID class barely started doing that. So I am ahead of the game, but I can also help those people that weren't able to get into the academy, which is part of it, helping our community as well, and then sharing all of that, because not everybody is as lucky as we are that can be part of the program. So that has helped me a lot, and then made me realize how much we can impact, how much impact we can do, which is pretty awesome.
For going back to the teacher emails, I feel like after I send those emails, the teachers recognize me, and they called. They're like, "Oh, you're the one who sent me an email," and I built a better relationship with the teachers, and so I feel more comfortable talking to them or emailing them, over problems that I have or questions that I have over the class, and it helped me also with saying that everyone belongs, and there's a community respect for everyone, and so I feel like I could be a nicer person, and I am a nicer person because of the academy.
We've kind of already answered this question, but I'm going to give them another chance if they want to answer it differently. What impact has the academy had on you, your family, or your friends? So I think if you've already answered it, feel free not to share, but if you want to add on to something you've already said, what impact? And whoever wants to take it first, feel free.
Just seeing my friends again, because when I first went to the academy, one of my best friends went to a different middle school, and so I never kept in touch with him until 7th grade. We saw each other and we were like, "Oh, you're in there too?" And so we just we just had this connection, "Oh yeah, we're doing the same thing," and so we can just do it together. And I also, one of my family friends that I grew up with since birth, is also in the academy with me, and so we're closer now than we were before, and with our friendship and everything.
For me, like I said, my mom just went to 5th grade in Mexico. Now she is looking up scholarships for me, which is really awesome. She hey, the deadline's tomorrow, or you have a few weeks. But it's pretty awesome having that parent involvement due to the Puente sessions that we have, which is pretty awesome. And having your parents who didn't have to go through all of this, support you and have this connection with you and have something to give you is just pretty awesome. And now they're super into my little sister, who will be graduating in 3 years. They already have a list of scholarships for her. It's pretty cool. As for me, if I was in 7th grade, I would never be up here speaking. I was a super, super shy person, still kind of am. But I think it's giving me, like Leo said, a voice, which is really powerful, and it can be really powerful. And the Academy has given me that opportunity to speak up, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah. It also gave me my best friend. I've met my best friend, who I'm pretty sure Emilio knows who that is. We're inseparable now. You
And
can
not even don't even go to the same schools.
And we don't go to the same schools. And I met her through the academy in 7th grade, and it's awesome.
So for me, as I mentioned, I'm the oldest out of all my siblings. There's 5 of us total, and similar, to your parents. My mom only finished up to 8th grade, and my dad only finished to 3rd grade, and so I feel like being in the academy was it was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just so amazing because now I know how to do the whole process, and my siblings, even though, they aren't in the academy, they have me who went through the academy, and I can help them, I can help guide them through the whole process, just so that they don't feel alone.
Similar thing as Vanessa. My parents also didn't graduate high school. So the type of impact the academy had on my parents was like a weight off their shoulders. Like from a very young age, like my dad and my mom always told me, like, we can only help you with like your homework up to a certain like level, And it's not like that you're on your own after that, but like we don't know anything else, So there's only so much they were able to give me. So the academy was definitely like that weight off of their shoulders, that I was in good hands with someone that could tutor me without the huge expense or financial problems that come with that. So that was the type of impact that I had on my parents. And also just not knowing how to navigate those things of like applying to colleges. Like that was something my parents didn't know, because they didn't go to college. So that was something, it just made my parents feel like I was in good hands because I've always wanted to go to college. So it gave me that, and also the impact that I had on my community. In high school, all my Latino and Hispanic friends, like a lot of them didn't know, or they didn't want to go to college just because I was never put on them by their parents, just because they had other priorities that were more important, like just like putting food on the table and such things. So like that was never something that was expected from them. But then just seeing me, because of the academy being so focused on school, like they were able to see that, and I guess in a way I was able to be an example for them. Yeah.
Yes, feel free to add.
Oh, also, I just want to add, the academy has had such a big impact, and it's so important to me that I still go back to the academy to visit Emilio every time I'm in Salem, and I even use Willamette's campus because, for example, the bistro, the coffee shop, and the library. I don't go there by myself. I actually bring my little brothers and my sister, and whenever they have homework for 3rd grade, multiplication tables. It's the hardest for my little brother. But I bring them with me, and I just sit down with them, and it's and I also bring them to the academy, and so through the academy, I feel like it's a safe space that I can come back to, and that I can bring my family and just feel just still feel the same support as I had when I was a student at the academy.
Okay. I think we've got time for 2 more questions. This one's the hard one. They told me this one was the hardest one for them to think about. How do you see Willamette Academy in the future? Or what would you like to see the Academy be able to do, or maybe do more of that it isn't? And if you don't have an answer, that's okay. But what would you love to see?
I guess an easy one that comes to mind is just being able to admit more students while being able to give them the same quality of time and resources. So just having a bigger class without taking away the efficiency and quality of help that they're able to give the students. Yeah.
How would I see the academy? First, I would see it with my eyes. Just kidding. No, but I think in the future, I just hope to see just more opportunities for the academy, like more opportunities for community bonding. I know summer camp is one of the best experiences for community bonding, and they take the academy takes a lot of trips to the zoo and to other places like the beach, and so I feel like I just feel like I don't know, I like those times, and I like spending time with my peers, and so I would definitely like to see more of those kind of opportunities that are both educational.
More field trips.
Yes, more field trips.
More, yep, maybe on a plane somewhere.
Yes.
I think for me, both what Leo and Vanessa said, but also I think having the opportunity to meet with all of you. I got to see, like Emilio said, this past summer, the seniors had sponsored lunch and dinner or dinners with the different community members. And that was pretty awesome to see, like, the different perspective that is not just us little kids. So I think that was pretty awesome, seeing your perspective and sharing our story to other people. I think that's really powerful. And yeah. You don't have one?
My last question, we'll end it there and we'll have plenty of time for questions, which is great because these are the ones you want to ask. You're all at different points in your lives. So I think a nice way to wrap this up would be kind of, and I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't give them this question ahead of time. What are your goals? What is your charge right now? And that could just be graduating high school, and that's totally fine. But for you, Leo, you've graduated. What's your next step? What's your goal? Or whatever that might be, any order you want. What are your goals right now?
So like I said earlier, I just graduated from Oregon State with a major in biology and a minor in chemistry and a pre-med option. So right now, my most prominent goal, and it's been my goal since I was very young, but it's to get into med school. And so that's what I'm kind of focused on right now. I'm trying to apply in June. So my main goal right now is to study for that MCAT and be able to do well so I can apply in June. And that's something that, thanks to the academy, also, like, I'm able to pursue that goal, like, I'm able to believe in myself because, like, just going to undergraduate at Oregon State was something huge, that my family, like, didn't even know of, a four-year college. So Willamette has given me the confidence to go even further and pursue that dream that I've always had of being a doctor. So, yeah. So that's my goal right now.
So my goal right now, my classes for U of O haven't started yet. They start October 1st, which is really late, in my opinion. Still, everybody else starts so early. But just my goals are to declare my major this year. So I'm hoping to declare my major in physics and ethnic studies, and I'm hoping to be more involved with the science department and the science programs on campus, and also I'm involved with my student government. And so right now I have a position as a state affairs commissioner, which means I'm responsible for keeping communication or like building a bridge between my university and the state legislature. So I'll be in Salem a lot at the Capitol, but just my goal is to declare my major, get more involved in the science department, but still stay organized with student government and all of my responsibilities there.
Okay. For me, first of all, to graduate high school, which I will do this year. Also to get enough scholarships to go to whatever school I'd like to go to. But lifelong goals, I want to be a surgeon. A lot of years, a lot of school, but it's totally worth it. Get to save lives. But also be able to come back one day to the academy and just share the story, help in whatever way is possible, be a mentor, maybe volunteer. That would be awesome, just to see all the different or the new students that are coming in and let them know that it's quite a long journey, but it's definitely worth it.
For a long-term goal for me is just to like also get into med school. Because like since I was younger, I've always like wanted to be a doctor, but like as I've grown older, I was like, oh, doctors aren't really for me. So I'd like want to be like a nurse. But like really short-term goal is just to be more involved with my tribe. Because like I'm like as of now, I'm like really involved with my culture. But like I want to learn the prayers. I want to learn more songs. I want to get permission to sing songs. I want to learn how to learn how to craft. So I can like teach my future children like what I learned and be an example for younger generations.
And Gabriel, can you talk a little bit more just about what you did this summer in regards to that? Some of the programming you went to?
This summer I went to a camp in Grand Ronde, Oregon, with under the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. It's called the Wellness Warrior Camp. They're from different tribes all over the world. all over the U.S. And there was a tribe from New Zealand who came. We ate traditional foods. We learned traditional games. We did horseback riding. and we just learned different dances from different cultures. We had like culture night, which shared the different dances from each culture, and we also performed our own dance to different cultures. And in July, I went to a Unity conference, which is a youth-led conference from also different tribes around the U.S. And it's there to like build leadership and how to like have a voice in your own community. It was with our youth council, which I'm also a part of.
Thanks, Gabriel. Let's go ahead and give them a big round of applause. They're awesome. Yeah, I think one of the themes that maybe you sense before I open this up to questions is just I think the fact that we're able, and I think to Leo's point, we would love to serve more to the same ability that we currently do. But I think one of the beautiful things is we are connecting students from every middle and high school in the district, right? And so just that learning that happens with those different communities and perspectives that our students are coming into is really important, and I think it creates that community. It really helps support that community that we're all trying to build. Because they hopefully miss each other in between those months. They don't maybe see each other all the time, and if they're not seeing each other during the week when they come in. Yeah, I'll go ahead and open up to questions for them, and yeah, thanks.
So I'm right over here. I just have a comment. It's abundantly clear why all four of you were chosen for the Willamette Academy. You're amazingly articulate, so inspirational. You kind of want me to go, I feel like I want to go there and start all over. Because, boy, have you got it. So thank you so much for who you are.
Thank you.
We spent the morning listening to the tribulations of the folks who were on the Oregon Trail. And you have uplifted our spirits enormously by your success. And your boss set wonderful goals for you and worked so hard to make them work. It's amazing.
Kind of following up on the discussion about your activities in your own high school here, and how the academy affects your communities in your high schools through you being involved in the academy. Are there any ways that your high schools seem to share some of the knowledge that you get, or share your experiences to the student body? I don't know if that is clear, but hopefully.
I don't think we get like a huge celebration for just Willamette Academy students to go to the schools. But I think as individuals, we're all from all around the district, so we get to be the ones that help friends, and then those friends help other friends, and that's how we help everyone. Yeah. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
And I can partially answer it. There's been I do exit interviews with our seniors every year. And so a lot of qualitative data and a lot of anecdotes around that. And I think there's a couple of students in particular that remind me, and Leo talked a little bit about it, but a lot of our students are taking questions that their mentors are asking them during their mentor meetings, right? And then asking their friends those questions, right? Or they're taking a skill they learned at that Saturday session and maybe not right away applying it to their friends, but maybe their friends have a question, and then all of a sudden they can be like, oh, I actually have an answer for that. I know how to do that. So certainly in that regard, I think, I hope that they're all doing it, and I think some of them are able to talk about that. From a more Willamette Academy best practices in the district, it's hard to scale that up sometimes, but yeah, I like to think they're doing a good job of it.
Any more questions?
First, of course, to thank all of you. We appreciate you being here and hearing your stories, and wish you well as you continue in your life. And come back to see us anytime and fill us in on how you're doing. And then this is for Emilio, and also for anyone here who feels that we would like to make a monetary contribution to help continue and expand these programs. How would we go about that? And do you happen to have some cards over here?
Great tie-in. So you're helping me out so much, because the most awkward part is always that part. So yeah, if you are so moved, or if you have interest in learning more, or just have questions, or would just like to support, there's a couple different ways. Number one, if you are tech savvy, it took me a while to figure out how to do it, but we have a donate button on our website now. So if you just Google Willamette Academy, or you go to Willamette University's website and you type in Willamette Academy in the search bar, it'll pop up. And on the left-hand side, there'll be a menu option that says Donate. And you can click that, and it'll instantly take you to a Willamette Academy specific page. Sometimes people get worried when they donate to the university. Is it really going to Willamette Academy? It is, regardless of how you do it. As long as you say it's going to Willamette Academy, it will, I promise. But this one particularly takes you straight to a pathway. If you don't do the computer thing, I have business cards right up by this projector right here, a stack of them. And that has my info and the address. And feel free to just write us a check, or however way you want to do it. I take giant checks too, the ones that we can have a really cool picture with. So I feel free to take a card and mail it through the old-fashioned way, the fun way actually. I think that's the fun way. So yeah, thank you for that. And for those of you who are interested in getting involved in other ways, we have a system. Over, if you're tech savvy, over Google Docs, where our students submit essays that we're always looking for people to read and give feedback and to help support. So if you have some kind of background in English teaching or essay writing, we're always looking for support there. And there's a lot of other volunteer opportunities that we would love to get you involved in and that kind of thing. So feel free to come chat with me. The easiest way, of course, is always money. But there's many ways that we can talk about how you can get involved if you'd really like to get involved. Oh, it might have turned off. Yeah, but reading college essays, yep, which there are abundant. There's abundance of college essays right now.
My name is Jeanette. I just hope you know how special you are and how bright your lights are. And I'm happy to hear about this for yourselves and your family and the community and your friends who have benefited from that. This is just the kind of news we all love to hear. And we're, excuse me, I got a cold. We're just absolutely delighted for you, and you bring a great deal of joy to me.
Okay, are there any other questions?
One right there, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sharon, and a couple of years ago I took a tour of your new place, and for those of you that maybe it will orient better, it is in the music built in Smith Auditorium, and they have a whole section, and I got a really neat tour, and you do have much better facilities than when you were across the street, and being on campus I'm sure really helps. So I encourage you, if you're interested in this group, to maybe contact Emilio or somebody and go see what goes on there. There are kids coming and going all the time, and it's obviously a happy place.
Thank you. Yeah, our students have an expectation that they're here twice a week, right? And so one of those might be meeting with a mentor, it might be a tutoring session, it might be a workshop. And then the second time might be just to do homework or hang out, be with their friends. I know Gabriel sometimes brings his Game Boy. But, they're playing video, right? It's still community to me. And so that idea where they're coming in and they're just hanging out together, they're seeing their friends, and they're on a college campus. So at any given time, we have, 30 or so students across the way between the hours of 2:30 and 7. And so if that is something that interests you, please shoot me an email, give me a phone call. Love to show you the space. We're really proud of it. We're really happy about it.
All right. Well, as you may or may not know, ICL's been very interested in the Willamette Academy for a number of years, and it wasn't too many years ago we were worried about its very existence. It's great to see you're back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.